everybody. Welcome back again to a little Austin Sports Weekend with Austin, the man here himself. We are down to the home stretch.
Definitely to the home stretch. I don't think there's
college
going to be
football.
the playoff. The first playoff rankings came out.
We'll go over those a little bit at the end here. But first of all, we just finished up Week 10.
And
So
we're approaching Week 11.
let's recap what happened in Week 10, first of all. We did not have but just one ranked. We had one ranked game on Friday, didn't we?
Ashton Genty and the Boise State Broncos defeated San Diego State very handily.
Yeah, that one wasn't even really close, 56 to 24. And Boise State looks like they've got a really good chokehold
On that large.
on that at-large bid, the 12th spot in the playoffs. So they went into the week ranked 15th.
They jumped up to 12.
They jump up to number 12. So they're actually ranked 12th. They're in the 12th spot of the playoff. But Boise's looking good. The running back
Is a Heisman candidate.
He's a phenom. He is a Heisman candidate. All right, let's go ahead and jump into Saturday's Tennessee game.
And
The old battle for the beer barrel.
and Tennessee won the beer barrel 28-18. It could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Tennessee, I was thinking Tennessee's offense would click, and this would be the week that we would score 40.
This
and
was
honestly,
This was mostly far from that because of all. Well, I don't want to be a negative person on this program.
they
but
should have scored
they should have scored at least 20
40,
more.
at least 48. 48 was laid there on the table. Again, Tennessee's defense superb.
Kept them under 20 again.
Supreme. The ninth game in a row they've kept teams under 20 points, which is the first time since 1966. So our defense is generationally good. Some people would say that it's the best in the ACC. I think there's arguments for it's the best in the country. Our defense is now. They gave up a little bit more rushing than what they would normally do. They got caught off guard with a couple of things they weren't looking for.
Kentucky was desperate, and it's a rivalry game, so we got to recognize that point. But
they
I
still
feel like the kicking situation has become a little worrisome, though.
Our kicker missed one at the end of the Florida game, or in the Florida game, and then missed three. The first two were in the 43, and then 40. Both of those are makeable kicks. In the SEC, you got to make a 45-yard field goal. The third one was mental because it was 34.
Yeah.
So missing three kicks that are under 45 is.
I felt bad for him.
I felt bad for him too, and he's been so strong this year. He made a 50-something yarder against NC State, I think.
Yeah.
So he's got the talent, he's got the leg. Mentally, right now,
I think
he's messed up.
Yeah. That's why they brought in Turbyville
Yeah,
to replace Max for the moment.
So Wills, I hope
Who's
he.
going to be our kicker
I hope
next week?
I hope he gets it together.
Who's going to be our kicker next week? That's the one conversation.
I hope they put him back in and give him another chance against Mississippi State, because Mississippi State, honestly,
Might be the worst team in the conference.
Mississippi State's bad. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah.
Mississippi State is not a very good team. So I hope they put him back in and let him see if he can get his confidence back in that team, because I don't think we're going to depend on his kick to win the game. So he can go in there with no pressure, and hopefully he can get his confidence back. But Tennessee scored 7 points. We did score some points in the first half. We scored
Which
7.
is amazing, honestly.
That's amazing. We were down at halftime, though, 10-7, just like we have been the past 3-4 games.
And then we find a way to.
And then we outscore them 21-8 in the second
It
half.
feels like the same script, but a different movie. It's like a sequel, consistent sequel after sequel after sequel.
Yeah.
It was the same thing I saw from the Florida game. It was the same thing I saw against Alabama, and it was the same thing against Kentucky, but with slight differences.
The good thing is, though, is that Nico did click.
Yes, he
finally
did.
clicked. He
But-
was 28 of 38
Yes.
for 292 yards passing.
That's a good day.
74% completion and 1 TD. Now the thing is, there was 3 dropped touchdown passes. One of them was by Kisselman. I'm not putting that on him. That was a good defensive hit.
And then
Knocked the ball out.
But the one that
Brazel
Brazel
dropped in the corner was a touchdown pass that should have been caught. When you get two hands on the ball, you should catch the ball.
And then the one Nimrod dropped
And then
over
when
the
the
middle.
Nimrod dropped, the ball bounced off of his chest like a rubber ball. That one was just terrible. So if those two passes would have been completed, he would have been 30 of 38 with 402 yards, 3 TDs.
That would have been very good. Very good.
So two dropped long passes that were very accurate. Nico had his best game of the year by far. Numbers wise, passing wise, being accurate wise, he had his best game of the year. So that's very, very, very positive. If he is that accurate in every game going forward, our receivers aren't going to drop those passes every game. So I still think that that's the turning point going forward, that we're going to be really, really good.
And there's one big storyline. Dylan Sampson made history on Saturday night.
Yep. He got his 19th
rushing touchdown, which is the most in a season in Volunteer history.
Yep. He is the second in the nation right now in TDs with 19.
Only behind Phenom Ashton Genty of Boise.
He has the most rush TDs through 8 games in SEC history.
That's very good. And
more rush TDs than 11 SEC teams totaled.
And he's got more rushing touchdowns than 103 other
FBS teams. So we've got a fantastic, we've got a generational defense. We've got a generational running back.
All we need to do is block up front for him, and then he can get yards.
Yep. He finished this week with 27 carries, 141 yards, for a 5.2 average and 2 TDs.
And that's why his rating continuously goes up on EA Sports, and people scramble to play with him as running back.
He really should be in the top 5 Heisman right now, too. I really think if these numbers were on a running back on an Alabama team right now.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Or an Ohio State team right now.
Yeah.
It would probably be first or second in the Heisman voting. So I really think.
So you're saying there's a little something fishy going on in there?
I think there's a little bias there going on, maybe, yeah. Here is his numbers. Against Chattanooga, had 124 rush yards, 3 TDs. NC State, 132 rush yards, 2 TDs. Kent State, 101 rushing yards, 4 TDs. Oklahoma, 92 rush yards, 1 TD. Arkansas, 140 rush yards, 2 TDs. Florida, 112 rush yards, 3 TDs. Alabama, 139 rush yards, 2 TDs. And Kentucky, 142 rush yards and 2 TDs. How's that for consistent?
Mostly very consistent. Outside of Oklahoma, he eclipsed over 100 yards.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tennessee's defense, 9 straight games going under 20 points, is the best since 1966. Our special teams we talked about bothers us a little bit. We had 3 missed field goals, a muffed punt, a shanked punt, and a block in the back on a return. Our special teams was a little bit shaky there that game.
And it has some people having some chatter and conversations in the fan base. But so, what do you think about that problem?
No, I think it's really, really good. We just need to polish things up a little bit. I don't think we need to worry about it too much. Heupel, since he's arrived in Knoxville, we are 23-4 in Neyland, 18-1 since 2022.
And the only loss was to Georgia. Which is impressive. Mm-hmm. To only have 1 loss, and that's to a annual contender.
I think they won the title.
They won the title.
So we
2
lost
straight years. So
that's the only home loss we've got since 2022. As a Tennessee fans, again, the older Tennessee fans, we remember the 70s, 80s, and 90s, how good we were the first of the 2000s. Your generation, you didn't get to see those glory years, so you just lived through the 20s and all the suffering.
The 2010s, you mean?
Yeah. So right now we're 8-1, and we're number 7 in the country. We're number 7 in the playoff ranking. As a Tennessee team, we need to really appreciate our coaches and appreciate our team and appreciate our players and quit crying so much.
Well, don't we do that in the NFL videos anyway?
We do it anyways, but we really need to step back and take a really good look at how far our program has come.
But I really wish the offense would. I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to be too negative here, but I would love to see a little more consistency. I don't know if anyone's gonna go against me that way.
No, I think we're that far. Like I said, Nico was the 5th rated, the highest passer in the country this year. Dylan Sampson is number 1 in the SEC in rushing with 980 total yards. He's going to be a 1,000-yard rusher in college. That's crazy. Nico's stats, I thought this was really telling. People have really been on Nico the past 5 or 6 games too.
Even though he's a freshman quarterback.
I'm gonna tell you these 2 sets of stats. Nico, through his first 8 starts, is 136 of 208 on his completions. He's threw for 1,705 yards, had 9 TDs, 65.4% completions, and 5 picks. Now I'm going to give you another freshman quarterback here. They were 89 of 144, 1,141 yards. This is through 8 games. They were 7-1 also. 11 TDs, completion percentage of 61.8, and they had 6 picks. And that person was
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning. Nico has better numbers through the first 8 games that he started than Peyton Manning did.
And people
I'm not saying that Nico is going to be better than Peyton Manning.
Which that's a high bar to reach. You realize how high a bar
I'm
it is
just
to
saying,
reach?
give him a little bit of a chance. Give him a chance.
Well, that's the problem. Sometimes a
He's
lot
young.
of younger people, a lot of younger fans. No offense against them, but they're very cutthroat and very impatient.
Very impatient. So, yeah, we just need, I'm just saying, our defense is phenomenal. Our running is phenomenal. And we got a quarterback that's not had bad numbers through the first 8 games. We're just feeling out how, and again, I still think that the Kentucky game would have been an easy 50 points if we hadn't, think 3 field goals, 9 points, 3 drop touchdowns, 21. That's 30 points. So if we would have maximized completely, we would have had 58 points in that game. If we would have just got 2 field goals and 2 of those touchdowns, then we would have had 48 points in that game. And we just hope that those mistakes
Are minimalized.
They don't happen as often. So, but anyways, we'll get back into some college football. But go Vols! We're going to always go Vols. We had Ohio State, Penn State.
Big game, James.
Big game, James does it again.
And this is like Big Game James Strikes Back. It's like a sequel to another movie you always love.
Yeah.
This is like Penn State. It's like a Star Wars trilogy at this point with Big Game James.
Yep.
It's like this is like the 4th movie on Big Game James.
It's actually the 14th movie now. He's 1-13 against top 5 teams.
That's a lot of sequels.
1-13 against top 5 teams since he's got to Penn State.
Man, he really lived up to his reputation of Big Game James tonight, on Saturday. 6 offensive points.
The Penn State's defense outscored the offense. They got a pick 6,
which was good. But their defense held them to 20 points. Ohio State, they did enough.
which is good. Penn State's defense did good. Penn State's offense was terrible.
Awful. That sequence,
6 offensive points.
5 plays, or like 4 or 5 plays inside of the 5-yard line with 0 points.
Yeah, I don't.
ran the same
I don't
play.
understand. First down, second down, third down.
You run the same motion draw.
Round the same, almost identical motion draw up the middle. Got 1 yard, got 1 yard, got 1 yard, and then on 4th and 1, instead of going jumbo or something, you did a drop back shotgun pass on 4th and 1.
That's some of the worst play calling at the goal line. That's like a rookie from Madden.
I don't know.
You don't call those plays.
No, you have to have some kind of.
You got to have an I formation.
Something.
Play.
You got to do something. From the 3-yard line, I go jumbo, bam, bam,
I
bam,
formation.
shove it. I'm a big. If you're first and goal inside the 5, if you can't run the ball in with a big package, you shouldn't be playing football.
You don't got this. You go to the gym. You go to the work. That's what you do
You
every
should
offseason.
You should have a big enough team to put a jumbo package in and get 3 yards in 4 plays.
I'm not saying Ohio State was perfect because
No,
they had a fumble that went through the end zone.
Ohio State fumbled it over the pylon.
They had a pick 6 that we mentioned.
and they gave up a pick 6. Ohio State was not flawless. They didn't look like
but
world
they
beaters.
did just enough.
They beat Penn State, which is what they always do. So, and Ohio State, Went from number 4
To number 2 with that victory.
to number 2. Yeah. So we had Duke, Miami. Miami keeps rolling.
That offense
rolling.
is hot. Not like Miami, not to metaphorize Miami, but that
It
offense
is
is burning hot.
It is hot, Miami. I've been down to Miami. That's
But do you know what's hotter than the humidity down there?
their quarterback.
Man, he is in fuego right now.
He is burning it. He is burning it up. He's also burning it up. They really like him in the playoff schedule too. People really like him.
Do you know how many times? This is like the 50th time this year that Miami scored 50 points. I mean, their offense is really sharp. Mm-hmm. When it's on its best, a few teams, I think,
it's going to be hard to beat. If Miami plays their best, it's going to be hard to beat them.
offensively especially.
The
they could put up
the
50
thing is that they do have some hiccups sometimes.
defensively,
hiccup wise, which affects the offense. So we'll have to watch that as we go along. But I definitely don't see anybody beating them in the ACC now. Not even in the ACC championship. I don't see anybody beating them. So they're going to go into the playoffs probably ranked at least third, I would think, in the playoffs and have that bye week. We had Oregon at Michigan.
Oregon looks like a legit juggernaut.
Oregon looks like the number one team.
And they've been that way
In the
ever since
country.
they swapped their offensive line.
Yeah, they went into Michigan and just manhandled Michigan. Michigan's
Having a disappointing
they're
year.
having this one. Of course, again, they completely wiped all the coaches out, and started with new coaches, lost a little bunch of players. So
And this Oregon team looks motivated. They look hungry.
yeah,
They look like they're willing to go out there and play their hearts out for the O.
yeah.
Like, right now, they're quacking along out
No
there.
matter what jersey they're in, which is
They're
a
the
different one
fashionistas.
every week. They are
They're
the
the
fashionistas.
fashionistas.
Yeah. We had Florida at Georgia.
The classic rivalry in Jacksonville.
Florida was playing good enough to win. I was really shocked.
Until one horrible injury happened.
Their starting
Snapped his
their
hamstring.
starting quarterback, which was the freshman quarterback,
Five-star
which was their second string quarterback. They already lost their first string quarterback whenever
an ACL
they
tear.
played Tennessee, and then he went down with a hamstring pull. They're actually saying now that it might not have been a full tear, and they're not ruling him out from coming back now.
That's good because
So-
I hate seeing this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
happen.
because he really looked good
He
as
played good
a
against
freshman.
Florida. He played good against
As Georgia. I really think if he could have stayed in, Florida had a chance. I'm not saying Florida would have beat Georgia, but they were competing.
Florida actually showed heart, and
I did, yeah.
doesn't this turn a table for Billy Napier possibly when they show heart like this?
Yeah, and that leads Georgia into a really big matchup this week that we'll be talking about too. But yeah, you can't blame Billy Napier.
For the quarterback going down like that.
You can't honestly. Really, what surprised me, I really thought Billy Napier was going to super struggle this year and then maybe be gone by now.
It looks like the players are trying to fight for him right
Yeah,
now.
I was wrong. I don't. Billy Napier. He's still not going to. He's probably going to end up with 4 or 5 wins in the season, but it's not been his fault.
A lot of it has
A lot
not
of
been
it
his
has
fault.
not been his fault. I'm not going to blame him for the losses that they had.
Injuries can
Injuries,
rupture your whole
injury,
year.
yeah. And the team was against Georgia.
They actually led at
were-
halftime.
They actually looked good. We had Texas Tech, Iowa State.
Upset.
Down goes number 1.
Number 11.
Yeah, that was one of the first
Last
upsets.
late game touchdown from Texas Tech.
And I
sealed
mean
the
late
deal.
game. It was last seconds. It was
Thrilling ending.
nobody knew that was going to. I had not picked Iowa State losing, not the Texas Tech, because Texas Tech had been struggling a little bit. So
And
I
that
did
win gave the Red Raiders bowl
bowl
eligibility.
eligibility. Yeah, we had Indiana, Michigan
This
State.
game was not a contest. Indiana
Choo
keeps
choo
rolling.
choo choo choo, right on down that track.
47 points. Consecutive points.
Yeah, 47 points. Yeah, they were actually down, weren't they?
10-0.
10
They
nothing,
rolled
and
out
then
47.
It's going to be really interesting. Nobody, as far as the names in college football, still believes in Indiana. They've got 0. I mean, they're still they ranked them number 11 in the playoffs, I think.
Maybe number 9-ish now. They're getting
Yeah.
a little more, but not as much as they need to because they've had
There's an upcoming game though.
that could help. Is Indiana quite there yet? I mean, this is a first-year head coach in Kurt Signetti that's got Indiana their first 9-0 start now for the Hoosiers.
Ever.
You got to feel good for that program, man. Every time I look back and see them scoring 1 billion points every week.
Because when I think of Indiana, I think of Bob Knight throwing a chair across the floor in basketball. I don't think of football.
Yeah.
But congrats to them, man. It is good to see somebody come up like that. And then Texas A&M, South Carolina.
Somebody let the chicken out of the coop because that was a runaway.
My goodness gracious, they got flogged. That rooster tore them up. I mean, 44-20.
Let the chicken run loose out of the coop, Dad. That's what happened.
You want to know how many points Texas A&M had at halftime?
How many?
20.
How many did the Gamecocks have?
Well, it was 20.
20. And
So,
they got outscored
24 to
nothing in the second half.
How are you the number 10 team in the country and get outscored 24-0 in a half of football?
That gets me confused too, man. I have South Carolina is a decent football team.
Now, we were talking South Carolina's defensive line.
That definitely did make
They're
a
for
factor
real.
here.
They got a really good defensive line.
That's a ferocious pass rush.
So Texas A&M, the halftime adjustments.
Just a bunch of angry chickens on the defensive
They
line.
tore them up. So congrats to South Carolina.
They're one win away from bowl eligibility.
They should. That win right there is the one who gets you to a good bowl game. So that's awesome.
Some teams this year, I love surprises like Vanderbilt and South Carolina to an extent. Florida is a bit of a surprise.
Vanderbilt plays South Carolina. No, they're not top 15. We're not going to talk about them, but Vanderbilt plays South Carolina
That's
this
a game
week.
to watch.
I'm sort of interested in watching that game now.
You want to see Vandy and South Carolina?
I do.
I want to
watch that game. I want to things I would not have said at the first of the year.
Vandy and South
I
Carolina.
want to watch
prime
Vandy
time.
play South Carolina.
It's prime time football.
Prime time football. And yet another upset.
Louisville takes down Clemson for the first time ever.
Now, Louisville was the best team Clemson had played all year.
And Louisville
It showed.
Outside of Georgia, remember?
In Clemson.
In
Since Georgia, that was the best team that they'd played all year.
And Louisville pretty much handed it to them.
33-21 in Clemson.
They pretty much handed it to them most of the game.
So maybe Clemson wasn't as good as we were thinking, or they could have just had a down week. But
I don't know if they can ill afford anymore.
No, well, they're probably not going to make it to the
ACC title game with SMU playing like they've had.
SMU's in the top 20.
And they've just came off of railroading Pitt.
They railroaded Pitt, and people were making Pitt big. So Clemson could still make a good bowl game now, but I don't even know if they make it to the ACC championship game. So
I don't see how they can at this point.
I don't see how they can either. All right, let's go ahead and jump into next week. Week 11, we don't have any top 15 games ranked.
Until Saturday.
Until Saturday, so let's go ahead and start on Mississippi State at Tennessee. Tennessee is favored by 24. Mississippi State's 2-7.
And we've gotten pretty convenient this year with the scheduling, and the more we see it play along, because Mississippi State is a first-year head coach, Jeff Lebby. They've struggled a lot in the conference and out of conference.
Mm-hmm.
And
they did beat UMass last week, but
I don't know how much that'll help.
I don't know
them
how much
here.
that actually helps you. Tennessee's favored by 24. I mean, I'm a big Tennessee homer, but I think Tennessee is going to score 40 points. It's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen
40 points last week, but I'm calling 40 points this week. I think Tennessee covers the 24, actually. I think it's a 40.
No offense
40,
against
40,
Mississippi State, because we don't play them nearly as often.
42-17 at the most. I think it's a 25-point game. How about that? Which covers the 24. I think Dylan Sampson runs for it again. I think Nico gets 3 touchdowns this game, and Nico runs for another 150 and gets 2 touchdowns. I think there's 5 touchdowns right there. Beautiful stuff. All right, let's jump into. You were talking about a letdown of a team. Purdue's 1-7 are going to Ohio State.
And going to the shoe, I don't think that's going to be much of a chance.
No, they're going to get
and
murdered.
The fact that they gave Gus Johnson that game to call, I mean, what is he going to do?
I don't know. The line's 38, but I'm sort of terrified of that game. I think Ohio State will get up so big, so quick that they might let off. They might be up 38 at halftime, and then pull off and only win by 30 at the end. I'm afraid of that line because Ohio State's going to beat the crap out of them so fast. I'm terrified of that one. We got Miami at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's not a bad team. They're a little scary.
But Miami is so hot right now.
They are so hot. Miami's favored by 11 at Georgia Tech. I actually sort of like that too. We got Florida at Texas.
I don't know how much grit and tenacity will let you win in Texas here.
Well, Texas is favored by 21 and a half.
I don't see that.
I don't. Florida's playing so gritty right now. Again, Texas might get up by 20 points at halftime and then pull off and only win by 13. So I'd probably stay away from that Texas line too. One of the best games of the week.
Georgia at Ole Miss.
Georgia at Ole Miss.
I say Georgia wins this game because they got a better team, honestly.
Georgia's only favored by 2.5 points, which means it should be close.
I think I'll take that line for Georgia.
I think Georgia's going to win it, maybe even by double digits. This may be a 10-point game. Ole Miss is either hit or miss. They're either hot and you can't stop them, or they look terrible. So I'm definitely not going to pick them to compete with Georgia. We got Michigan at Indiana. This is not a big test,
but it's a decent test.
but it's still Michigan.
Yes.
So in Indiana's mind, they're playing Michigan. So this is definitely a test. They're favored by 14.
Do you think Indiana's going to go 10-0?
I think they're going to go 10-0 and probably beat them by 20.
Bingo.
I think it's on. I think they've got that mindset now, to where they think they're good, they know they're good, and it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to beat that team. We got Maryland at Oregon.
This is going to be
mercy. That may be the mercy rule. By the third quarter, they'll be up by 25, and it'll be over.
Oregon's going to win that game very dominantly, but this is going to be the mercy game.
Oh, this is the mercy rule. Our dumpster fire of the week, which is almost they're going to be our dumpster fire of the year. We might as well throw them up there.
Florida State and Notre Dame. Do you want me to go ahead and do the dumpster fire right now?
Go ahead and do the dumpster fire. Get it out of the way. It is Florida State.
Mike Norvell, he's completely lost the team. I have no other explanation.
1-8.
1-8 after a 13-1 season last year. How do you explain that? That's inexplicable, honestly.
I don't know.
They've gotten worse over the year, Dad. They can't do I thought they couldn't do anything on offense. If they played like they do right now against how they did early in the season, they would lose to the earlier team in the year by 20.
Yeah, they're 1-8 right now.
One pass completion in 3 quarters of football against North Carolina.
One pass completion in 3 quarters?
One pass completion. But it was for 33 yards, but 1 of 6 for 33 yards.
If you're struggling on offense, wouldn't you throw some shorter dump passes?
Not Florida State.
Man.
They might be the worst team in football right
Florida State's at Notre Dame this week, and it may be 50-10.
I want to call this a 50-point win. Florida State is so hapless right now. Notre Dame should just cakewalk themselves to a victory here.
They should. And this is the game of the week, I think, personally. Alabama at
LSU. This is the classic rivalry game.
At night.
In Death Valley. That's going to be terrifying.
Alabama at night in Death Valley.
Nick Saban has even had issues coaching over there at night. That shows you a lot.
LSU's favored by 3.
Do you want to take the Gumps or do you want to take the LSU?
I don't know. LSU is at home, coming off of a loss.
Do you want to take LSU here?
My brain says Alabama. My heart says LSU. I'm going to go with LSU. We got LSU plus 3 on that. We'll see what happens. Washington, Penn State.
Big game, James.
Big game, James. This will be a bounce back game. He should win this one fairly easy. I think the line's 13. I think they cover. We got Nevada at number 12, Boise State.
I think Gresham Genty goes loose again, but
Nevada's not very good. They're only a 3-win team, so that's going to be a blowout. We got number 9 BYU. That's right, a top 10
BYU against
BYU team.
Utah, and this is the Holy War. This is what it's called.
Yeah, the Holy War. And BYU is now a
Big 12
Big
team.
12 team. So
and Utah's a Big 12 team, so it's an
in-conference Big 12 matchup. BYU Utah. And BYU right now is picked to win the conference and be the representative. at the current pace.
I'm
So,
going to pick BYU right now, but Utah's pesky.
BYU's only favored by 4 because that is a brutal rivalry. So I will go with BYU too. Well, that's it. That is our matchups with Week 10 and Week 11. We are down to the home stretch. Before we go, thanks to SevereTV.com for setting us up here in studio. Thanks again for Autographs Plus for sponsoring us. Got a couple cool signed helmets here. But we are really into some exciting football. Just really quick. We did say we were going to cover the top 12 teams
In the playoff?
in the playoff. So here we go. Right now we got number 12 is Boise State.
That's our automatic bid
That's
from
the
a lower conference.
They are number 12 ranked too, so they would be the lowest bid conference, and they're ranked number 12 anyway, so they would be number 12. Number 11 is right now Alabama.
Alabama right now is a number 11. Notre Dame's
11.
number 10.
Notre Dame's number 10. Come on down to number 9. Number 9 is BYU, but them being a conference winner would put them up into the 4th seed of
and
the
a home
playoff.
playoff game.
And a home playoff game. Well, they would actually get a bye, and they would be in the quarterfinals. They wouldn't even have to play the first round. But number 10 is Notre Dame.
And they play big game James and Penn State
Mm-hmm.
if they ended right now.
Yep. Number 9 is Indiana.
And they would go to Knoxville to play Tennessee, which
Tennessee is hosted as ranked number 8. Number 7, Penn State, which would play Notre Dame. Number 6, Texas. Alabama and Texas do not play during the regular season. With this matchup, they would play in the first round of the playoffs. That would be interesting. Number 4 is now number 5. That would be, let's see here, number 4. I can't
number 4 is Miami, and since
Number 4
they're
is
a higher
Miami.
ranked conference champ, that's 3rd.
They would be 3rd. Number 3 would be Georgia, and they are picked to win the SEC right now.
And they're
They
second.
they would be 2,
Oregon
and then
is ranked number 1.
and Ohio State is number 2. Right now, your first round would be Boise State at Ohio State, Indiana at Tennessee, Alabama at Texas, Notre Dame at Penn State. With the first 4 byes going BYU, Oregon, Miami, and Georgia. The first 2 teams out, SMU and then
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. I don't put a whole lot of stock in the first round of playoffs because there's still 4 more games in the regular season to play. That's going to change about
A lot.
4 more times. You know, the matchups now, the chances for those actually sticking is probably 5%. But it's fun to look at them. It is fun to look at them, fun to talk at them. And if there's a playoff game in Knoxville,
Oh, wild.
my goodness gracious, I'm going to be there. I don't care if I'm up on top of the roof, snuck on top of the roof. I'm going to be there. But anyways, thanks again. Be sure and share us with your friends. Leave a comment or 2 about what you think. Other than that, we will see you next week for more football.
See you next week.